Hi there. My name is Mr. Schuweiler, but most students call me Mr. Shu. I'm going to be sharing with you how I gamified my classroom. First, let's clarify some terms. Some people think gamification means incorporating video games in their classroom. For example, Lucas Gillespie and Peggy Sheehy are currently piloting an after-school program for at-risk middle school students called WOW in School. In this program, students gather after school to play World of Warcraft and other online video games in the school's computer lab. The class incorporates assignments like writing prompts and poster creation to provide students with an alternate route for learning the English curriculum and developing 21st century skills. Others may think that gamification involves turning the class into a game itself, like with the program 3D Games Labs. 3D Game Labs is an online program in which teachers turn the curriculum into a series of quests instead of a list of assignments. As students complete quests, they earn experience points that progress them to new levels. Instead of a grade, students' progress in the course is measured by their level. The higher the level, the more of the content they have mastered. Passing the course means earning a certain level, signifying that the student is proficient in the content. For any given lesson, students can choose which quests to complete, giving them choices in their learning experience and making it so that no two students have exactly the same experience. Students can also earn badges for completing additional challenges assigned by the teacher. While both WOW in School and 3D Game Labs are great ways to motivate students in the classroom, gamification can take on a much simpler form. In my classroom, I use a system called Standards-Based Grading, or SBG for short. In a traditional classroom setting, a wide variety of assessment types are implemented, making students' grades a mixture of many different modes of representation. Grades are typically permanent once submitted, leading to some high-stakes testing situations. This can cause undue stress and anxiety in a classroom that could otherwise be fun and enjoyable for the learners. Students who are not feeling well on a particular testing day, or are not otherwise physically or emotionally focused on a test, may end up with a low grade when they actually understand the material. Additionally, expectations and learning objectives are not always communicated clearly to students. Students can easily become confused about when an assignment is due, and regularly ask questions about how their grade is calculated, and whether their homework is more important than their journal entries. In an SBG system, on the other hand, the course material is broken down into standards that are communicated to students clearly at the beginning of the class and subsequently throughout the semester. Each standard contains a list of learning objectives, each of which is measured directly and independently. Grades in an SBG classroom reflect only students' mastery of the material, not how they're feeling on a particular day or how likely they are to leave an assignment on the kitchen counter. Lastly, SBG follows a philosophy which recognizes that students can still learn material after the due date, so grades are flexible even after they are submitted to the teacher. In my chemistry classroom, grades are based entirely on quizzes. When there are other types of assignments in my classroom, the only grades that enter the gradebook are quiz scores. Multiple choice quizzes were chosen in large part because 20% of the students' final grades in the course will be determined by a multiple choice final exam designated and mandated by the state. The quizzes are therefore an opportunity to practice for this final exam so that the practice in class better matches their final assessment. These quizzes also directly correlate with the standards, so students know exactly what will be on the quiz before they even see the questions. Additionally, no quiz grade is permanent. Students have opportunities to stop by my room before or after school to retry any quiz once per day. This helps alleviate the sting of immediate failure on the quizzes and rewards students for revisiting and remastering the material. If students fall behind, they quickly discover how much work it takes to catch back up. My gradebook therefore looks something like what is shown here at the table below. Each quiz has its own score. Quiz 2 on nuclear energy, for example, is out of 18 points. It seems that Ashley struggled on this quiz, so she will likely be coming in after school to retake it. If she succeeds, she could still earn the full 18 points, and that score would be replaced in the gradebook. If she fails, she can try again the next day. I might also look at the data like on quiz 5 on ions, which seems to have low scores across the board. I may provide some remediation on this topic and give everyone an in-class opportunity for this retake. In communicating the standards and learning objectives to my students, I provide them with a curriculum guide on the first day of school. For example, this section of my curriculum guide on Standard 1 about atomic structure shows several of the learning goals, A, B, and C. Each objective has a key idea that students will be expected to know and a performance objective that they will be expected to do. The performance objectives match the key ideas and are intended to be a measure of how well students understand the key idea. I quiz my students through an internet-based quiz system called ProProfs, which takes a lot of the work out of grading their quizzes and provides them with immediate feedback. When they take the quiz for Standard 1, they don't see questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on like they would on a standard quiz. Instead, they see 2 questions about Objective A, 2 questions about Objective B, 2 questions about Objective C, and so on. These quizzes are pulled from a pool based on each performance objective so that students cannot simply memorize the answers for the retake. By having 2 questions on each objective, I can help eliminate students simply landing a lucky guess and can genuinely tell which objectives they struggle with. If everyone in the class struggles with Objective C, for example, I know that I need to revisit the way I teach the periodic table families. Students receive this feedback immediately after submitting the quiz, too, which also tells them what they need to study and what they should practice for the retake. You may be wondering, wouldn't grading only quizzes in the class encourage students to neglect the assignments that will not be graded? Students quickly learn that if they do not do the assignments in class, they stand little chance of being successful on the quiz. I try to incorporate as many different types of assignments as possible for my students, including daily multiple choice warm-up questions for them to practice their quiz skills in class. I also work with web-based simulators, which often turn into games of exploration. Other activities include labs, articles to develop literacy skills, homework, and practice questions. Even though they are not collected for a grade, feedback is still given on these types of assignments. But what about learning objectives that can't be easily assessed through quizzes? In the honors level of my chemistry class, I assign 2 additional projects, a research project and a lab-based project. For these projects, I create a list of skills that I want my students to demonstrate and master. I then create criteria that show me whether or not they have mastered these skills. This becomes my rubric. In general, students either demonstrate the skill proficiently or they show that they are still developing the skill. Just as with the quizzes, students are given feedback and time to incorporate their new understandings and revise their projects. They can resubmit their projects for full credit before the end of the marking period. Students are also given an opportunity to review the work of their peers, helping them develop critical thinking and communication skills. And so my classroom makes use of the 3 elements of gamification from this training. Number 1, make the path to success clear for all students. My students know that their grades are based entirely on quizzes and, if they are in an honors section of the class, 2 projects. Number 2, encourage student motivation by removing the sting of failure on the first attempt and providing students with opportunities for immediate feedback. If students fail the first time, they have plenty of opportunities to learn the material and retry. The quizzes provide immediate feedback, letting my students know exactly what they need to study and letting me know what may need to be revisited as a class. And lastly, number 3, create student empowerment by enabling students to create their own path to success and placing success within the reach of all students. While some students may need to retry quizzes more frequently than others, each student in my class knows that success is in their grasp. Each student is left to define success for themselves and is given a wealth of options for practicing and demonstrating mastery. While there are many other lessons that can be learned through gamification and game theory, we will focus on these for the rest of the training. Let's start breaking them down one by one, starting with element 1, the path to success.